This week, I'll be covering the first day of the draft for SmackDown that happened on October 11th, 2019. Overall, the draft was interesting. They had a list of people that were eligible to be drafted last night. For the good part of the show, it went down the list to a T for a good 2/3 of the show before I think somebody in the back was like, oh crap, fans have realized we're literally going down this list person by person instead of mixing it up. I found that quite entertaining. The first thing that struck me for the actual show was the match between Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, which was for the ability to draft somebody first, depending on who won the match. The match went to a disqualification because the Fiend came up through the ring to attack Seth Rollins. Therefore, Rollins won the match. I really hope, even though with Rollins being the Universal Champ, I don't think he'll get drafted to SmackDown, but I really hope he does because Bray's been drafted to SmackDown. And if we're going to continue to do this storyline, they need to be on the same brand. The other part that I enjoyed as far as SmackDown goes was the main event of SmackDown, which was Bayley versus Charlotte for the SmackDown Women's title. Bayley came out and utterly destroyed her Bayley buddies, and she regained the title from Charlotte, and we promptly heard new music from Bayley, and she told the fans to piss off. So we have finally, like we've been asking for weeks now, gotten full bad girl Bayley. It'll be interesting to see where it goes from here. As far as what I didn't like for SmackDown, I didn't really like the King Corbin versus Shorty Gable match. Chad Gable, because I'm sorry, it bothers me that they're calling him Shorty Gable now. Like, why? And the other thing that I wasn't really a fan of, because I don't plan on watching the pay-per-view, well, this particular pay-per-view, is they announced Brock versus Cain Velasquez for a match at Crown Jewel. Full breakdown who was drafted on Friday during SmackDown was round 1, Becky Lynch to Raw, Roman Reigns to SmackDown, the OC to Raw, Fiend Bray Wyatt to SmackDown, and Drew McIntyre to Raw. Round 2 was Randy Orton to Raw, Sasha Banks to SmackDown, Ricochet to Raw, Braun Strowman to SmackDown, Bobby Lashley to Raw. Round 3 was Alexa to Raw, Lacey Evans to SmackDown, Kevin Owens to Monday Night Raw, The Revival to SmackDown, and Natty to Raw. And the final round of draft picks for SmackDown was the Viking Raiders to Raw, the Lucha House Party to SmackDown, Nikki Cross to Raw, Heavy Machinery to stay on SmackDown, and the Street Profits officially go from NXT to Monday Night Raw.
Are you looking for the newest and hottest in the world of pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 6,000 hours of the best events from over 150 of your favorite promotions from 20 different countries around the globe. Brands like Progress Wrestling, Evolve Wrestling, Combat Zone, Defy, PCW Ultra, PWX, Over the Top, Shine, and hundreds of others with fresh content added every day for only $5.99 per month. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
For the second part of the Mort Report this week, I'm going to get into a bit of fantasy booking for a buddy of mine on Twitter, Beard in the Box. So he's a good follow. You guys should follow him. He's usually got some pretty good takes. And he's really fun to talk to back and forth about all sorts of wrestling. What I want to get into is how I would go from here to get to Aleister Black and the Fiend Bray Wyatt for WrestleMania for the title. With Bray Wyatt already being drafted to SmackDown, you would have to also draft Seth Rollins, who's the current Universal Champion, and Aleister Black, who's also currently undrafted, to SmackDown, and move over Brock and Cain Velasquez to Monday Night Raw, which honestly I don't foresee that happening because SmackDown's on Fox now, but let's just say in my hypothetical, this is what happens. Like, you've got the Fiend still screwing with Seth Rollins through the Survivor Series, and the next match that they actually have is a tables, ladders, and chairs match in December for the Universal title, in which the Fiend actually legitimately wins here with no shenanigans this time, and he holds it through WrestleMania, destroying people at every SmackDown from then to WrestleMania, defeats Rollins again at the Royal Rumble to solidify his reign going forward. Then we've got the matter of Aleister Black. In Aleister, you've got somebody that, quite frankly, other than having him make a solid point, you really shouldn't be having him cut promos all that often. He should be in another mysteriously cloaked character where you don't quite know his motive. While yes, he's a little bit more human than the Fiend Bray Wyatt, obviously, he can still be the dark side of humanity and portray the silent badass that takes people's heads, figuratively speaking, to get the Fiend's attention. And hell, you can have him from now until WrestleMania take out all of the people that Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, has in the past been associated with during the pay-per-views and SmackDowns, as if to taunt the Fiend, trying to get his attention to, while the Fiend's on this tear, tormenting Seth Rollins, where he ultimately gets the title at tables, ladders, and chairs. You've got somebody in the background gunning for the Fiend, trying to take him out to stop his reign of terror on the main roster. Basically, with Aleister having the attitude that there can only be one person that has the mentality to terrorize the SmackDown roster. To finally get Aleister Black to the title and the Fiend, you have him win the Royal Rumble, and either that night or the SmackDown following, have him challenge the Fiend. And then immediately after that, you get a Firefly Funhouse that is Bray Wyatt saying hi to Aleister and starting to play mind games with Aleister, and you get this back and forth of Aleister cutting promos on the Fiend and Bray Wyatt, as well as more Firefly Funhouses from Royal Rumble to WrestleMania, building up the feud, building up the animosity, and it ends up with us getting this really dark, sinister match between the two of them, where they're essentially fighting for good and evil, so to speak. Where we know Bray and the Fiend are essentially the embodiment of pure evil, but we don't know what Aleister's motives are. And even if you chose to have the Fiend win in the end, you could have him essentially turn Aleister into a sort of thrall, so to speak, and have him be a new follower of the Fiend and Bray Wyatt, and even partake in subsequent Firefly Funhouses, and eventually have this storyline go on if you chose. Or you could have Aleister win and defeat the Fiend. This has been episode 2 of the Mort Report. Talk to you all next week.